Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review and demo of another foundation for you guys. I feel like it's been a really long time since I sat down reviewed a foundation, but if you haven't been watching my channel, you'll know that I've been on the hunt for a new Holy Grail foundation because the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation I have, I guess, grown a sensitivity to because I've noticed that every time I wear it, I'm getting these little white breakouts all over my face. I won't wear it for a few days, it'll clear up. Then I'll wear other foundations and it doesn't do it. But the moment I go back to that foundation, it's like the next day, I wake up with breakouts. So I've been on the hunt and I've really found three that I really like. And the one that I decided to review today is the Smashbox 15 Hour Wear Hydrating Foundation. It just looks like this. I do have the box right here. I'm just going to kind of read the claims that's online. But this is just the box that it comes with, and it just tells you guys how to use. This says you can use a brush, sponge, or fingertips. In the demo, I use a sponge because that's just my favorite way to apply foundation. I think that's what works best with this foundation. I noticed when I did use a brush, I felt like I got the same amount of coverage as I did with my, with my L'Oreal Infallible sponge. Mine's disgusting, but I really like this. I seem to get a lot better coverage with this than I do with the Beauty Blender. This isn't as soft, but I do think the coverage is better and I do really like it. So online, I know you can get this at Sephora and Ulta. This retails for $42 and it does come in a variety of shades. It was a little bit hard to find my shade online. I ended up having to return 2 shades to finally get this one. But they do come in a total of 20 shades, at least on Sephora. There might be more on Ulta. But like I said, I just like to kind of read the claims and then I kind of tell you guys how it worked with me. I've got a whole list sitting right here of how long I've worn this foundation. So basically it says this is supposed to have a matte finish. It's full to medium coverage. It's for sensitive, normal, dry, combination, and oily skin. It says an oil-free hydrating foundation that gives you flawless skin for 15 hours plus. It's tested to ensure that you look gorgeous in any light. Achieve medium to full buildable coverage with a natural matte finish. This foundation blurs the look of imperfections with light diffusing spears, and it stays put for 15 hours of wear. No touch-up needed. Lightweight and comfortable, it's exercise resistant, sweat resistant, and transfer proof, and it works on all skin types. So I usually don't work out in makeup, but since that said it was exercise proof, I really want to test that theory out. So again, I'll talk a little bit about that, but as you guys can see, it's supposed to be good for all skin types. I was really nervous because when someone says something's hydrating and I have oily skin, that kind of turns me off towards the foundation, but I'd heard really great reviews about this one, so I did decide to pick it up. So I will go ahead and show you guys the demo so you guys can see how it applies and how it kind of covers, and then I'll come back and kind of tell you guys what I think about the exercise proof and how it worked on my oily skin and stuff. So let's just go ahead and get into the demo. Alright guys, so I have already primed my face. I just used my Stila One-Step Corrector. I love this stuff. I think it does a really good job of brightening my skin but still keeping my oil at bay. So I did just want to mention that this is the primer that I used. I do already have my brows and eyeshadow done. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started with the demo. I am going to apply this with a sponge just because I'll talk about it a little more in the review. I just find that this foundation works best with a sponge. And it's come with a nice pump, and I am in the shade 1.1. So. So that's it for the demo. Looking up here in the viewfinder, it kind of looks like the shade's too light. But I think it's where I've scooted up closer to the camera and the ring light's kind of washing me out. But the shade does match. So you guys could see I did just do one layer and then I did just build it up right here in this area where I did have a couple of breakouts that I wanted to conceal. So yeah, I'm just going to finish my makeup and then we can get back to the review. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that demo. Now on for the review. I'm just going to talk about the packaging. It's just a really nice glass packaging. It does come with a pump, which is really nice. The only thing about this pump is I feel like it doesn't dispense as much product as like other pumps do. Like I feel like 2 pumps of this equals up to about what 1 pump of most other foundations like the Urban Decay foundation and stuff like that would equal up to me. It just doesn't dispense a lot of product, which isn't an issue, but I did want to mention it. So overall, I do really like the packaging. I haven't had an issue with the pump just because, but besides that. Now, like I said, I will just kind of go through the claims really quick and just tell you guys how that worked for me. So as far as the matte finish, I do think it is a matte finish. It looks super natural though on the skin. I did actually try this with, let me find it. Oh, I feel like I'm knocking stuff over in every video. I did actually try it with the Stila One Step Correct Primer, which I've been loving it with because this kind of adds like some brightness to my skin, but it still kind of helps control my oil throughout the day. But I've noticed with this one, I do kind of get that more demi-matte finish where it doesn't look like such a flat matte. So you might be able to use like a different like luminizing primer or something that if you like the formula of this and like how long it wears, but you want, you know, make it like a little bit more luminous, you could probably, like I said, use a different setting spray or a primer. And as far as it's saying that it is, you'll need no touch-ups for 15 hours. So I actually wore this foundation for 16 hours. I had to get up really early and leave for work, and I wore it all through work. The moment I come home, I went outside, me and Dad did yard work, we mowed, weeded, all of that. Come back in, made dinner and ate, and then I played some Call of Duty. But that's like, that was it. But that was like a complete and full day for me. And this foundation looked gorgeous. Now, as far as no touch-ups, I agree, but I do notice around hour 10, which for me is quite a long time, I do kind of start to get just the smallest amount, I feel like, of oil kind of seeping through my foundation. Now, that doesn't bother me because it kind of makes me look a little bit dewy, but I didn't have any issues, like I said, with it like looking completely greasy. I think that it looks, like I said, really flawless for that 15 hours. Now, this does say that's lightweight and comfortable. I agree. Like, when I apply this foundation, like, I cannot tell that it's on my skin. I almost forget that it's on my skin when I'm wearing this. It doesn't get heavy throughout the day. When I get oily, it doesn't start, you know, feeling like greasy or anything. It is very lightweight. It is very comfortable to wear. I also like how products blend on top of this. Like, I won't always set my entire face with a powder, but I will usually set like where I put my bronzer and stuff like that, because I'm always afraid that they might not blend well if the foundation is tacky. But this foundation for me wasn't tacky at all, and the products do blend really nicely over top of it with and without a powder. Now, exercise resistant. I only worked out in this once, and I had worn it throughout the day. Honestly, my skin did feel really gross, but I never work out in makeup, so that might just be it. But like I said, I didn't notice, like, I was oily, but it wasn't bad, and it didn't bother me, but I would never work out in makeup again. But I did want to put that to the test. Again, I had worn it throughout the day when I got home, did work out, but like I said, it was fine. It didn't bother me, and usually, like I said, if I get really oily, you know, like, I'll let you guys know if it bothers me, but it was to the point where it didn't bother me. So I do also agree with the exercise proof. Now, sweat resistant, the job I do work outside all day. It's been up in the 80s here, and like I said, this looks completely and totally fine even when I get home after like a 10-hour day. And like I said, that day I mowed the yard, everything still looks great. Out of all the foundations I've ever tried, I have to be honest, this one holds up the best on my oily skin, and like while still looking good, if that makes any sense. Like, I have a lot of foundations that'll last, but I will be really greasy, or I'll have to blot and I'll have to powder. I don't mind to blot and powder, but I don't ever have to do that with this foundation, which I do really like. So it says it's transfer proof and works for all skin types. Now, the transfer proof part, I don't agree with 100%. Like, at first it is transfer proof. There's like nothing comes off. But throughout the day, like I said, about around hour 10, I feel like, when I do start to get a little bit of that oil, it does kind of start to transfer. Like, I hugged my dad like this, and I did get, my foundation was taken off right here. So just take that into consideration. You know, it's not transfer proof, I feel like, for 15 hours. But like, as long as I'm not touching my face and stuff, it looks good for that 15 hours. I think that that is all the claims. Now, as far as it working for all skin types, I can't speak for people with dry skin, but sometimes I do have to like when I do have like acne breakouts and I treat those breakouts, that area can get kind of dry. I noticed that this does glide completely over top of that. It doesn't sink into my fine lines on my forehead, and also my smile lines, which almost every foundation sinks in there. This does not sink into those fine lines at all, which really impresses me. Now, the only thing that I feel like I don't love about this foundation is the color selection. Like I said, it does have 20 shades, which is good, but it's not great. The undertones for me was like really hard to figure out, especially online, because they don't tell you the undertones. So I think that maybe going into like your local Sephora or Ulta, you know, they'll be able to maybe match you, but it was kind of hard finding my shade online. So for me, that was the only like issue that I had. But overall, it holds up amazing on my oily skin. Almost every single day I've got down here, I've worn this foundation at least 10 to 12 hours, except for 3 days, which I did wear it for 15 hours. And I didn't blot or powder any of those days, which if you've watched a lot of my other reviews, I do have to blot and powder, which, you know, I don't mind. But the fact that I don't have to with this foundation really impresses me. Now, lastly, I will talk about it saying it's supposed to be like a, you know, great for photography. I agree. I don't have any flashback, which I think is like really important if you take a lot of flash photography. And I think it looks great on filming, like looking here in the viewfinder. I think it looks really good. As far as the coverage, I think it's more on the medium side. I can build this up. Like, I don't know if you guys can still see any of my acne coming through here because the viewfinder is kind of far away. But I think it does an amazing job at covering. And when I go in with that second layer, like when I look here in the mirror, like, I mean, I can still barely see it, but I could spot conceal that, or maybe even go in with a third layer. But I like this more like natural kind of look. Like, I don't want to, you know, build it up too much or anything like that, where it's going to look cakey or heavy. But overall, I might have found my new Holy Grail foundation, and that makes me so incredibly excited because, like I said, the Estee Lauder one is just like everything that I tried, nothing compared to that. But I absolutely love this. This wears better on my skin throughout the day than the Estee Lauder Double Wear. This one also doesn't really sink into any pores or anything, or go into my smile lines, like I said, which is an amazing plus for me. If you don't like the matte finish, like I said, you could always try mixing it in with different primers, or maybe mixing in some of those Cover FX like little drops, you know what I mean, like those shimmering ones. You know, just add a little bit of like illumination to your face if you don't want a matte finish. But overall, like I said, for 42 bucks, I definitely think that I have found my new Holy Grail foundation. I hope I answered all the claims and all your guys' questions. If you ever have any more, just let me know in the comments down below, and I will always make sure to try to answer them. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.